All right, welcome back, everyone. We're going to be diving into something that I think a lot of people can relate to, and that's ordering coffee in English.
Oh, yeah.
You've sent us a whole bunch of articles on this topic, so we're kind of guessing you're either looking to just expand your coffee vocabulary, or maybe you're getting ready for a trip where you'll need to actually navigate some real life coffee shop menus.
Yeah, it can definitely be intimidating.
Totally.
Like it's a whole secret language sometimes.
It really is. But don't worry, by the end of this deep dive,
Yeah.
you'll be ordering like a pro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to just start with the basics, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like, what are the core elements of any coffee order? We're talking drink type, size, and keep in mind those sizes can have some pretty quirky names sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Milk or flavor choices, and of course, whether you're staying or taking it to go.
Yeah, speaking of to go, one of these articles pointed out a funny little difference between how we say it in the US versus the UK.
Oh, right.
In the UK, they often say takeaway instead.
That's right, yeah. And while we're on the topic of international coffee shops, you might also see drink in versus for here.
Oh, interesting.
Little things like that can definitely trip you up if you're not prepared.
For sure. It's like those travel phrase books. They never quite prepare you for
Right.
the real deal, you know?
Exactly. And honestly, here's a pro tip from someone who's been there. If you ever feel overwhelmed by all the choices,
Yeah.
just take a breath and just ask for a moment to decide.
That's such good advice.
Any decent barista is going to be happy to give you a minute.
Yeah, they're used to it, I'm sure.
Mm.
Okay, so now that we've covered kind of the coffee shop 101,
Right.
let's talk about the actual drinks.
Okay, sounds good.
We've got some articles here that detail a whole world of coffee creations beyond, just a regular cup.
Absolutely. Why don't we break them down into categories to make it a little easier?
I like that, yeah.
We could start with the foundation of it all. Black coffee. You got your classic brewed coffee, the Americano, and of course the mighty espresso.
Ah, yes, espresso.
And with espresso, you've got the option of a single or double shot, depending on how much of a caffeine kick you're looking for.
One of the articles mentioned something I found really interesting about espresso, and that was the crema.
Yeah.
It's that, beautiful layer of reddish-brown foam that sits on top of a well-pulled shot.
Right. And I think it was your article by
Yeah, it was author name.
author name. Yeah. That one actually breaks down the science behind it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Apparently, the ideal crema should be this hazelnut brown color with this fine tiger-like pattern. It's formed by the emulsification of oils during the brewing process,
Yeah.
and it can tell you a lot about the freshness of the beans.
So basically, if you see that, perfect crema,
Yeah.
you know you're in for a good cup.
Exactly. It's like a little quality check
Yeah.
right there in your cup.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from kind of the intensity of black coffee,
Right.
we have a whole other world to explore, and that's the world of milk-based drinks.
Yes.
Lattes, cappuccinos, all this creamy, delicious concoction.
And of course, we can't forget about the macchiato,
Oh, the macchiato, yeah.
which, as one of your articles points out, can be a bit of a tricky one.
Oh, yeah, this one here.
Yeah.
It mentioned how the definition can vary wildly depending on where you are.
Right. Traditionally, a macchiato is a shot of espresso with just a dollop of foamed milk on top.
Okay.
Very simple, very strong. But some places, especially here in North America, they've kind of supersized it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that.
They've turned it into this much larger, sweeter drink, often with flavored syrups and such.
So it's almost like you need to know the secret coffee handshake or something to make sure you're getting what you actually expect.
Exactly. It's not a bad idea to just clarify with the barista if you're unsure.
Yeah, good call. Okay, so besides lattes, cappuccinos, and the mysterious macchiato,
Right.
we have mochas, flat whites.
And don't forget, many of these can be made hot or iced, depending on your preference.
Right.
And let's be honest, the weather.
Oh, absolutely. And while we're on the topic of hot versus iced,
Yeah.
one of your articles had this hilarious anecdote about a tourist who who accidentally ordered a hot latte on a scorching summer day.
Oh, no.
Talk about a coffee fail.
I can only imagine their disappointment when they took that first sip.
Oh, yeah. So we've got this whole spectrum of coffee drinks.
We do.
Each with its own unique characteristics and even potential for customization. It's kind of amazing how much variety there is out there. What's grabbing your attention from all of this? What sounds good to you right now?
Honestly, all this talk about crema has me kind of craving a classic cappuccino.
Oh, yeah.
There's something so satisfying about that balance of espresso and that velvety foam.
Ooh, excellent choice. I think I'm feeling a little adventurous today, so maybe a cold brew. One of the articles mentioned how cold brew can have this surprisingly intense flavor because of the long steeping process.
Yeah, that's what's so fascinating about coffee.
Yeah.
Even within a single category like cold brew, you can get so much variety depending on the beans used and the brewing time.
Wow.
It can range from light and fruity to rich and chocolatey.
Really? It really is remarkable how much complexity can be packed into a, seemingly simple cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And we haven't even touched on the customizations yet.
I know.
Milk choices, flavor syrups, all that.
That's where things get really interesting because that's where you can truly start to tailor your drink to your own taste.
Okay, so let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll dive into all of that.
Sounds good.
So we've explored this world of coffee drinks,
Right?
but now let's talk about how to really make them your own.
Yes.
We're talking customization.
Customization.
I'm excited to hear what these articles have to say about taking our coffee game to the next level.
Yeah. Let's dive into the art of coffee customization.
Oh.
It's like having a painter's palette of options
Ooh, I like that.
to create your perfect cup.
Yeah.
And speaking of palettes, one of the articles actually described milk choices as being like the canvas for your coffee masterpiece.
Wow, I love that analogy.
Right.
So let's start with the foundation, milk.
Yeah.
We've got articles here mentioning everything from the classics like whole milk and 2% to the plant-based options like almond and soy milk.
Of course, skim milk,
Oh, right.
which you might see listed as skinny milk on some menus.
Oh, okay.
The options these days are pretty expensive,
They really are.
catering to all kinds of dietary needs and preferences.
It's amazing to see how much things have evolved, I remember when it was just whole milk or nothing.
Right. And actually, one of your articles makes a great point about how the type of milk you choose can really impact the flavor and texture of your drink.
Oh, interesting.
For example, whole milk tends to create a richer, creamier latte, while almond milk can add a subtle, nutty flavor and a slightly lighter texture.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right.
It's almost like pairing wine with food. You want to find the perfect match.
Exactly. Now, if you're looking to venture beyond those basic milk choices
Okay.
and into even more flavor territory,
Yes.
we have a whole universe of syrups to explore.
Oh, yes. Vanilla, hazelnut, caramel, a classic trio.
Right?
I remember my first caramel macchiato.
So, yeah.
It was a revelation.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? A lot of coffee shops offer a really wide range of syrups, from those classics you mentioned to more unique options like lavender, maple, or even seasonal flavors like pumpkin spice.
Speaking of pumpkin spice, I remember reading an article a while back about the psychology behind those seasonal flavors and how they tap into our sense of nostalgia and comfort.
Interesting.
Maybe that's why they're so popular.
It's fascinating how something as simple as a flavor
Yeah,
can evoke such strong emotions and memories.
it really is.
Right.
Okay, so we've got our drink type,
Okay.
our milk, maybe even a flavor or two.
Yep.
What other customization options should we be aware of?
Well, for those looking for an extra caffeine boost, there's always the option to add an extra shot of espresso.
Essential for those early mornings or late night study sessions.
Absolutely. And then you have options for adjusting sweetness.
Oh, right.
Some people prefer sugar, while others opt for artificial sweeteners.
Okay.
Some coffee shops even offer flavored sweeteners like vanilla or hazelnut.
Wow, so many options.
And of course, there's always the classic whipped cream topping
Oh, yeah.
for those who like their coffee a little more indulgent.
A little bit of a treat.
A little treat, exactly.
One of the articles had this great tip about those little finishing touches,
Oh, like what?
like asking for a sprinkle of cinnamon or a dusting of chocolate powder on top of your cappuccino.
Oh yeah, those little details can really elevate the experience.
Yeah, they really can.
It's like adding a little flourish.
Totally. It's all about those personal touches.
Exactly.
Now, one thing that struck me as I was reading through these articles is that coffee culture and even the way that people customize their drinks can vary like quite a bit depending on where you are in the world.
That's such a great point.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
For example, in many parts of Europe, it's not as common to find a wide array of syrups and flavorings.
Oh, really?
They tend to focus more on the quality of the coffee itself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in some places like Italy, adding milk to your coffee after a certain time of day is practically a culinary sin.
Oh, wow.
I learned that the hard way on a trip to Rome once.
Oh, no.
Let's just say I got a few raised eyebrows from the barista.
I can imagine that didn't go over too well.
But it's those like cultural nuances that make traveling and experiencing like different coffee traditions so interesting.
Absolutely.
You know?
But no matter where you are in the world,
Yeah.
there are some general coffee shop etiquette tips that are just helpful to know.
Yeah, beyond like the ordering process itself, what are some things we should keep in mind? Like how to navigate the coffee shop environment smoothly
Right.
and avoid any faux pas.
Yeah, in many U.S. coffee shops, you'll notice that baristas typically call out your name or sometimes just your drink order when it's ready.
Oh, okay.
So you want to make sure you're listening for that.
Right.
So you don't miss your perfectly crafted beverage.
Right. You don't want your latte getting cold while you're lost in conversation.
Exactly. And if you find yourself needing a little extra time to decide what you want, it's always polite to step aside from the line
Oh, that's a good point.
so that others can order while you ponder the menu.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Just common courtesy.
And speaking of being considerate of others, what about those coveted power outlets? I know a lot of people, myself included, like to, settle in at a coffee shop with their laptop and get some work done.
Right. If you're planning on camping out for a while and you need to plug in, it's always courteous to ask politely if you're, near someone who's already using an outlet.
Yeah, good point.
Just being mindful of shared resources.
All great points.
Yeah.
It's funny how something as simple as ordering coffee can involve so many unspoken rules and cultural variations.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
What's fascinating is that these little details often reflect a lot about a culture's pace of life,
Oh, interesting.
their values, and even their sense of community.
Huh.
It's like anthropology through the lens of coffee.
I love that idea. Wow.
Right.
We could do a whole deep dive on that topic alone.
We could.
But for now, let's circle back to the kind of the practical side of things.
Okay, yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from drink types and milk choices to flavorings and even coffee shop etiquette. I'm feeling much more confident about navigating the world of coffee now.
Me too. It's amazing how much there is to learn about something we often take for granted.
It really is, yeah.
I know.
But you know what? I think there's one more aspect of coffee expertise that we haven't touched on yet.
What's that?
And that's the art of making amazing coffee at home.
Ooh, that's a fantastic idea.
We've
explored the world of ordering coffee.
Right.
But now we can delve into the world of brewing.
Yeah.
Experimenting with different techniques. Maybe even becoming our own, at-home baristas.
I'm already excited to dive into that world and uncover all the secrets to crafting those cafe quality drinks
Yes.
in the comfort of our own kitchens.
I know, me too.
So for all of you listening,
Yeah.
consider this your invitation to join us for that next deep dive.
Right?
We'll explore the tools, the techniques, the beans, the grinds,
All of it.
everything you need to know to become a true coffee aficionado.
Absolutely.
But until then,
keep exploring those coffee menus.
yes,
Experimenting with new flavors.
absolutely.
And above all, savoring every sip.
Beautifully said. I like that.
Okay, well, that wraps up another deep dive.
It does.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for more coffee adventures.
Wow. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of coffee, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground.
We really have.
From deciphering those sometimes intimidating menus to, understanding the nuances of different drink types, milk choices, flavor combinations,
Right?
even like navigating coffee shop etiquette. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And, going back to those articles you sent us, I was struck by how much emphasis they placed on the sensory experience of coffee. There's not just about the caffeine kick
Right.
or the routine of grabbing a cup.
Yeah.
It's about truly savoring the aroma, the flavors, like the whole ritual of it all.
That's so true. One of the articles even described coffee as like liquid poetry, which I thought was such a beautiful way to put it.
It is.
And it made me think about how much we can learn from really paying attention to our senses,
Correct.
when we experience something as seemingly simple as a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. And that attention to detail, that willingness to slow down and appreciate the nuances,
Yeah,
I think that could really elevate the whole experience.
totally.
It's
Yeah.
like the difference between just hearing music and actually listening to it with intention.
Ooh, I love that analogy.
Right.
It's about being present in the moment
Yeah.
and really engaging with what we're experiencing.
Exactly. And speaking of engaging with the experience, I think one of the most valuable takeaways from this whole deep dive is the empowerment it gives you
Oh, for sure.
to walk into any coffee shop anywhere in the world and order with confidence.
Absolutely. No more feeling intimidated by those long lists of drinks
Right.
or worrying about accidentally ordering a hot latte on a sweltering summer day.
Exactly. You now have the knowledge and the vocabulary to navigate those menus.
Yes.
Like a seasoned coffee enthusiast.
And even beyond ordering, we've talked about how to customize your drink to your exact preferences, how to be mindful of coffee shop etiquette, and even how to appreciate the cultural differences you might encounter in different parts of the world.
Right. It's all about expanding your coffee horizons and becoming a more informed and adventurous coffee drinker.
Exactly. And as we wrap up, I keep thinking back to that idea we touched on earlier, the art of making amazing coffee.
Ooh, it's such a natural next step.
Right.
We've explored the world of ordering coffee, but now we can delve into the world of brewing, experimenting with different techniques, and maybe even becoming our own at-home baristas.
I'm already excited to dive into that world.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like opening up a whole new chapter in our coffee journey.
So for all of you listening, consider this your invitation to join us for that next deep dive.
Yes.
We'll explore the tools, the techniques, the beans, the grinds, everything you need to know to become a true coffee aficionado.
Absolutely. And until then, keep exploring those coffee menus, experimenting with new flavors, and above all, savoring every sip.
Beautifully said. Well, that wraps up another deep dive.
It does.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for more coffee adventures.